Very, very good to work with, and you can't do this thing by yourself here. And they did a great job of helping me get this thing executed, you know. Well, as you might have heard, I was a chef at the White House. I started there in 1992 and went till 2005 with George H.W. Bush, the Clintons, and then George W. Bush. And some people say, how did you ever get connected with this group? Well, back in 2015, a former colleague of mine was working with City of Refuge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not, but he was doing a lot of good work with them, and he unfortunately passed away. A connection between him and the City of Refuge contacted me and said, we would like you to come down and help us, and mainly because we need a White House chef in about a month that the other guy was supposed to do. So in the summer of 2015, I started my connection with Atlanta, and I came down quite a bit. I was on the frequent flyer miles for the next couple of years. COVID kind of turned things down a little bit there, but it's great to see a great audience like this. This is the biggest group I've done with them up to this point here. And it's just great to be here. One of the things that a lot of people ask about, some of the most exciting things and some of the more dramatic things that might have happened at the White House, one of them was 9/11. A lot of people don't realize what happened on 9/11. We had the largest party of the year on 9/11 was going to happen that evening. The congressional barbecue was that night. And even a week or so afterwards, we had meetings with the FBI and the Secret Service, and they were saying, did they know that that was going to happen that evening? And they all came to the conclusion that it was just by chance that it was that evening that we were going to have that dinner. It was 2,000 people coming to that dinner that night. We were in full production mode, getting things ready, and then when somebody came back to the kitchen and said, a plane just hit one of the towers up in New York, and I'm over there cooking and doing, oh really? Not knowing what really happened. And once I was able to stop doing what I was doing, I decided to walk over to the storeroom. In the kitchen, we didn't have a TV, so I said, I'm sure they got something going on over there. Let me go see what's happening. So I nonchalantly walked into the storeroom, and as soon as my eyes saw the TV, I saw the smoke coming out of the tower, and I saw the plane hit the second one. But I didn't know what I just saw, and I go, how do you get a picture of the plane, a picture of the building burning before it got hit? And the guy sitting there go, well, I don't know, that must be a second plane. So I literally walked in right at that moment when the second plane hit, and as we stood there trying to all figure out what was going on, my boss, the chief usher of the White House, came up to me and said, John, this looks like a terrorist attack. There's no party tonight. Let's get everything broken down and put away and get everybody out of here that's not a pass holder. Normally, there's 5 chefs who work in the White House kitchen. There's 2 in the pastry and 3 in the cooking side. And that day, we had about 15. We knew local chefs that we had a clearance be called escort workers. We picked them up out of the gate, we escorted into the White House, and they had to stay with us the whole time. So we had a full crew doing what we had to do. The chef that we talked about earlier, Walter Scheib, he was out on the South Grounds at that point in time with a group of chefs setting up the food stations and the grills. I was in the kitchen manning the hot food and getting things going with my team. And as soon as I got back there, I said, hey guys, gather around, and told them what was happening. We started breaking things down and getting things put away. And suddenly, Walter Scheib, he came running into the kitchen. He was out of breath. And he goes, the Pentagon just got hit. We could be next to evacuate. And so we were looking at it like, my goodness, what is going on now here? So I just made sure everything was turned off. And we started exiting the house. And as we walked out under the North Portico, the fastest and quickest way to get away from the White House is the northwest gate to get onto Pennsylvania Avenue. And as we walked in front of the press room, and then in front of the Oval Office, and I was walking towards Pennsylvania Avenue, I just remember stopping and looking over my shoulder, and that beautiful blue sky we had that day had this black smoke swirling up into the sky right over the entrance of the West Wing. And that image will be in my mind until days are done. It was like, oh my goodness, is that the Pentagon? And obviously, sure it was. So that was the first moment that I actually saw that. We went out onto Pennsylvania Avenue. After a short amount of time, the Secret Service said, everybody out of Pennsylvania Avenue and get into Lafayette Park. We were over there for a little while, and afterwards we said, let's get everybody out of Lafayette Park and push this further and further away from the White House. And so after about an hour or so, after initially being all together as chefs and butlers and maids, we all started dispersing. and I still have my chef jacket on. My keys to my car and my change of clothes is on the 3rd floor of the White House. My car is on the other side of the White House, on the south grounds. I said, well, I don't think I can be getting to either one of them. So I decided to just walk up to the next metro station and just get my way home. So by the time I got down to the one I wanted to go, I walked 3 up Connecticut Avenue to Woodley Park and Zoo. I bypassed the first 2 metro stops at DuPont Circle and Farragut North because there were so many people that were going down there. I said, I don't feel comfortable going underground with a lot of people right now. So I just kept walking up Connecticut Avenue. Finally got on the train and went home, and my wife picked me up at the train station, and finally got back. We got word from the White House. Walter Schott called me up and said, hey, I was able to fight my way back in. I'm here. The president's coming back. I'll do dinner for him tonight. Just get back here first thing the next morning. So I took the first train at 5:30, headed back to the White House, and started our new life there. I mean, the social calendar was wiped out. No parties were going to be happening. The only thing we did for the coming weeks and months was entertain foreign dignitaries to come into the White House and have meetings and lunches and dinners for this next couple of months. It wasn't until Christmas time that Mrs. Bush finally said, we all experience something very horrible, but we need to get back to doing what we do. And we can't think of a better way to do that than the Christmas season. So the Christmas season and all the parties that we do kind of jump-started our social calendar, and then we started getting back to doing what we do. After January started, things started populating on the social calendar, and we went back to doing what we did, I mean, for the most part, I was a private chef working in pretty good public housing for the most part. And it was also a banquet house. We took care of all the breakfasts, lunches, dinners, cocktail receptions, picnics on the south grounds, and first family. We could be right in the middle of a state dinner, and Chelsea's calmed down, and she's ready to have dinner just by herself. So one of us has to split off and make up whatever she might want that evening there, and take care of her, make sure she's comfortable and good to go there. Also, another part was kind of a bit of a tragedy too. Was a morning when it was February of 2003. I'm sitting in the bleachers. The president's up at Camp David for a weekend, so I thought I had a day off. And I'm sitting in the bleachers just being a dad, watching my younger son in 2nd grade, just playing basketball. The phone rings, and it's the usher's office. And the usher on duty, the only words out of his mouth was, the president's coming back 11:30 or 6 for lunch, click. I go, holy crap. I mean, we're supposed to be ready for these type of things, but that usually doesn't happen, So I didn't know what was going on. When I grabbed Junior, we got to the car. I started heading back to the house to drop him off. And I keep a news station on all the time. They're called WTOP, which is News, Traffic, and Weather. And I listened to that religiously while I was there. And the first story that came up was the Space Shuttle Columbia crashed on re-entry. I said, oh my goodness, no wonder he's coming back to the White House. I'm sure he wants to make a statement there and not Camp David. So I leave the house, and I'm a good half an hour or so away from the White House, and I'm cruising down 270 thinking, what am I going to do? I mean, we don't really keep a lot of food around the house while the President and First Lady are up at Camp David. They were coming back Sunday evening and having 2 people there. Monday morning, we send out our storeroom guys from the Secret Service to travel around D.C. and randomly pick up the things I need. I gave them a shopping list of all the stuff that I need, and we accept no deliveries. Nothing can be delivered at the White House. Everything has to be bought out, picked up, and brought in. So a Secret Service agent in plain clothes driving around an unmarked vehicle with D.C. residential plates traverses Washington, and you can be standing right next to somebody grabbing a head of lettuce that's going to be going to the White House a couple hours later there, But so when I got down there, it was 11 a.m. What time was lunch? 11:30. I was thinking, what am I going to do? So thank goodness for quesadillas, I sliced up some chicken, got some cheese, got those things up there. That 30 minutes was a blur, but I was up on the 2nd floor at 11:30 serving lunch. After lunch was served, Mrs. Bush came back in the kitchen and said, oh, John, thanks for coming in on such short notice. Lunch is great, we really appreciate it, but we feel so bad about what happened, So we were talking about the shuttle tragedy for a moment, and then afterwards she said, oh, by the way, we're going to be 18 for dinner tonight. So I came back to the kitchen and said, I just squeezed this out for 6 people. I got no food. I do not have enough food to do this. So I called up the engineers. I said, go get our car, go get our van. I'm riding shotgun. You're gonna plant yourself right in front of Whole Foods, and you do not move. I ran in and just grabbed the first ingredients I could find, get back inside that van and get back to the house with whatever I can get. As long as I have food, I'll figure out what the menu is. So a few hours later, we're taking care of that, you know. The only caveat was that I'm the chef there, I'm not a pastry chef, and although I do have to make it if something would happen, and that day wasn't the occasion for that, you know. So I came up with this recipe for a warm flourless chocolate torte, and I sent it out, and the butlers came back in the kitchen and said, did the pastry department come in and do the dessert tonight? I said, no, I took care of it. They said, well, they want to see you out in the dining room. So I went out in the dining room, all 18 of them were sitting around the table there, and they gave me a round of applause and said, hey, John, dinner was great tonight, we really appreciate it, but did you do the dessert too? I said, yes, I did. I said, well, we loved it. What was in it? How'd you make it? And so I'm answering all these questions with them, and then went back to the second floor kitchen again, because it's the second floor is where they actually live, and there's a small kitchen right next to their private area, is where I'm at, taking care of the family when they're just having breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So it is also kind of cool because we are also inside the ring of the Secret Service. The Secret Service is not in the kitchen watching what I'm doing. They're not even standing in the dining room watching the president. They're not allowed in the private residence while the president is just relaxing. So it was kind of cool for the chefs, the butlers, the maids to be inside that ring of the Secret Service and just taking care of them at a very private moment. The main thing they told me when I got the job there is that you serve to the pleasure of the president. And what that meant was we were government employees, but we were not civil servants. We had no job security. If a new president comes in, he can do whatever he wants with the house to make the time as comfortable as possible while he's there. So every time there's a change in administration, you kind of step back and say, what could possibly happen? But the majority of the time it does not happen. You just kind of roll with the next guy, watch very carefully the first couple months that they're there, and then kind of get their repertoire, kind of learn the likes and dislikes. I'm watching every plate when they come back those first few weeks of the month to see if they push the peas to the side of the plate or have a little comment about whatever, you know, and start building our repertoire. It was kind of funny that I'll leave you with one funny story that one night when George W. was eating by himself, I decided to make chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, and corn. And so I'm on the second floor, I give it to the butler, he walks to the swinging door just a few feet away, gives it to the president, and the butler comes back in the kitchen and he's laughing really good. I said, what's so funny? He goes, he cracks me up. And George W. wasn't very quick-witted, he always had us laughing. So of course I said, what did he say? He said, well, I came up, put the plate in front of him. He leaned over, looked at it, and said, there's nothing green on it. I like it. So it wasn't too far from Dad with the broccoli and everything else, you know. But you're going to see a little bit coming up in a couple of minutes here. We're going to be auctioning off for a dinner for 10 people from our auction here. And I'm going to leave you with a short video of some more things for you to learn about this organization. So you have a good night. And hope to see you soon one day. Bye-bye.